Hello, good day. I'm Carl Lau from Group 5, and here's my reflections for our Gen Math video project. So, before we begin, I just like to say that I am taking business management, and I was assigned with the efficiency and decision sciences. So, for the first question, how could this lesson be applied to my field? So, the concept of efficiency directly applies to how organizations allocate their resources to achieve maximum output with, of course, minimal waste. On my end, it's a matter of minimal spending because there's a lot of products that we have to supply and send to different companies. So, for the most part, it's quite applicable. And next, of course, decision making because with almost every business action, it also yields different effects, and plenty of which, big raw mistakes, it costs a lot of money. So I think what struck me the most was the decision lessons, because as I said, there are a lot of times in our lives where we could overlook certain things. There are hidden costs to a lot of the things that we do, and of course, and like I said earlier, now we're for business. There are times that we could do certain things that might cost a bit too much. So for the chapters that were assigned to me, I'd say it wasn't too challenging, but it's quite insightful on my end. So I was kind of happy I got those. I wouldn't say it was hard in the traditional sense, but it was great. So the new things that I kind of like, well, that sparked was close to behavioral economics, or how humans think, or more like psychology, because there are times that you might want to ask until when do our emotions or habits override logic, you know. So that's something nice. Three words I describe my experience for this class, I'd say was engaging, eye-opening, and memorable. Definitely memorable because there's a lot of things that I learned this term. But for the most part, it's been great. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Venice from Group 5. Wow, who knew that math in the modern world would sneak its way into real life this much? When I first heard about consumer math and efficiency, I thought we'd just be dealing with numbers, formulas, and maybe a bit of a headache. But it turned out to be much more than that. First, my assigned chapters, Chapter 2, Consumer Math, and a portion of Chapter 5, Efficiency, specifically the shortest path, taught me concepts I can actually apply in business management. In Chapter 2, we covered investing, borrowing, and managing data, essential in making smart business decisions. Understanding interest rates helps when taking loans or making investments. And managing data is important when analyzing performance or customer behavior. Then, the shortest path problem relates to efficiency, like finding better delivery routes or cutting travel time and cost. These made math feel more like a life toolkit than just a school subject. The topic that struck me most was investing. Learning how money grows through interest made me realize the importance of starting early and thinking long term. It's not just about saving, it's about being smart with your money. As someone who wants a stable future, that really hit me. And if I had to describe this course in three words, they'd be practical, eye opening, and reflective. It didn't just teach math, it reminded me to manage my time, stay focused, and actually listen. Even our professors' reminders like, don't copy, look first, or eyes on the whiteboard, ended up being life lessons too. So that's all for my reflection. Thank you for listening.
Hi, my name is Precious Ortaleza from Group 5. I'm currently taking BS Accountancy. My topics are math and communication and linear programming. I'd say I can definitely apply these concepts to my field since I would be tasked to handle sensitive data and transactions. This is where things like error detection and correction, encryption, and authentication can be crucial. There's also linear programming, so corner principle, which can help optimize cash flow, make investment decisions, and even plan for taxes. For the concept that struck with me the most, it would have to be encryption, decryption, and crypto systems. It was personally just the most fun. It's innovative, it's interesting in its background and applications. I like the affine cipher the most. It's just so fun to decipher. I've also become more interested in stenography. It's interesting as well since there's different layers of ciphers hidden in plain sight and you might never even know. All in all, I would rate my topics a 5 out of 5. Difficulty wise, it can be pretty easy with practice. Mainly, the difference in processes and formulas can be confusing since you can do one part wrong and your answer is wrong, but I do feel like that's part of the journey of learning it. Lastly, for the whole course, I'd say it was one engaging, two sometimes sobering because I do tend to lack time management, so this was a wake up call. And then three, it is pretty informative. I'm not sure if I'm just getting like old, but I find things like learning about insurance and stocks and all that more interesting now. So yeah, I mean it's useful to know. Overall, I had a very good time. So thank you for listening to my reflection.
Hi, I am Sean Rogers from Group 5, and this is my group reflection. So, my group reflection is basically that when it comes to Gen Math for this term, I learned a lot, and specifically two main things. First is games and game theory. I was really interested in game theory because a lot of my interests align with game theory. So how game theory works, in geopolitics and in video games, game theory is very video games. It's literally in the name, game theory, video games. But it's very interconnected and very intertwined. So like how each variable affects another variable. That's very interesting for me. Now another thing that really interested me was that I learned was shortest path, because I'm often playing video games where transportation or getting from point A to point B is very important. So things like the shortest path and how to get to the shortest path are something that I am interested in, because if many of the video games amount to go to point A to point B, you kind of want to shorten the amount of time you're doing that. So another thing, it's not on the lesson, but it's one thing I did learn from Gen Math was that I can actually study. Because before then, like when it came to exams, I did study, but I didn't have any confidence in myself. So Gen Math taught me that if I did study, like to at least have some faith in myself, and that in the fact that I could perform better when I study. It's hard to explain, but I had this sort of mental wall that said that there's no point in studying if I'm going to fail anyways. So Gen Math kind of pushed me to go, well, I have to study, and I have to put some faith and confidence and effort into studying, because if I don't, I'm going to fail. Hopefully it did work out. Thank you.